I was expecting an ordinary night. I never imagined it would unravel everything I thought I knew about myself, about love, and about the boundaries we convince ourselves are unbreakable. What if one glance from your son's best friend woke something you buried long ago? That night, I thought I was just checking on my son, Ethan, whispering a good night. But one simple step into his room became a doorway into a world I wasn't ready for. A world that challenged everything I believed about who I was and what I deserved. But what if giving in felt more right than holding back ever did? The hallway was quiet, the kind of silence that blankets a house after midnight. The soft glow from the bathroom light stretched across the hardwood floors, highlighting the faint dust motes dancing in the still air. Every creak of the floorboard beneath my feet seemed louder than it should have been. It was supposed to be a simple routine, a mother's nightly ritual. Lean in, tuck the blanket under a sleeping child's chin, whisper a gentle sleep well, and retreat. That's all it was supposed to be. But the moment I pushed open the door, my lungs caught in my chest. It wasn't Ethan sitting on the bed. The figure there wasn't the boy I had raised. The one who had spent years begging me to chase away monsters. The one whose laughter filled these halls. No, it was Tyler, Ethan's best friend since middle school. For a heartbeat, I couldn't move. His silhouette was perfectly outlined against the dim bedside lamp. He turned his head slowly, our eyes meeting. And in that instant, I realized this wasn't the awkward teenager who used to raid my fridge after soccer practice. This was someone different, stronger, steadier, somehow more dangerous without even trying. There was a confidence in his stance, a subtle curve to his smile, a quiet magnetism that I wasn't prepared for. "Ethan's asleep," he said softly, nodding toward the lump under the blanket. His voice was calm, deliberate, but there was an edge to it, a softness tinged with daring. Something about the sound made my skin prickle. I should have laughed it off. I should have smiled politely and excused myself. But instead, I froze, caught in a current that I didn't understand. I was just saying goodnight, I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. Tyler stood, moving with a grace that belied his age. He was close now, closer than he had ever been. The air between us felt charged, thick with something unspoken. "You look beautiful," he said, the words simple, direct, but carrying a weight that made my heart stutter. I laughed nervously, stepping back. "Tyler, you're Ethan's friend." "This is—" "I know," he interrupted gently, his eyes never leaving mine. "But I've seen the way you look when you think no one's watching. The way you carry everything alone. You're more than just Ethan's mom. You're a woman who deserves to feel wanted." His words hit like a wave, crashing over the walls I had built around myself. I hadn't realized how lonely I had become, how much I had sacrificed in the name of being a good mother. "I can't," I whispered, but even as I said it, I didn't move away. Tyler reached out, his fingers brushing my arm. The touch was light, but it sent a spark through me, a reminder of sensations I had long forgotten. "You don't have to do anything," he said. "But don't lie to yourself about what you feel." I pulled away, my breath shaky. "Good night, Tyler." As I closed the door behind me, my heart was pounding. I leaned against the wall in the hallway, trying to steady myself. What was happening? This was wrong. He was too young, too close to my son, too everything. But the way he looked at me, the way he saw me, it was intoxicating. The next morning, I avoided him. I busied myself with breakfast, with laundry, with anything that kept me from thinking about the night before. But Tyler was there, helping Ethan with homework, laughing in the kitchen, his presence a constant reminder. Days turned into weeks. Tyler was at our house more often, supposedly for Ethan, but his eyes always found mine. A lingering glance across the dinner table. A brush of hands when passing the salt. Each moment built on the last, creating a tension that was impossible to ignore. One afternoon, Ethan was at soccer practice. I was in the kitchen when Tyler walked in, his hair damp from the rain outside. "Hey," he said, his voice low. "Hey," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. He stepped closer, the space between us shrinking. "I've been thinking about you," he said. "About that night." "Tyler, we can't," I said, but my voice lacked conviction. "Why not?" he asked, his hand reaching out to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear. "Because of Ethan? Because of what people might think? Or because you're scared of how much you want this. His touch was electric. I closed my eyes for a moment, savoring the feeling. When I opened them, he was watching me, waiting. I'm scared, I admitted. Of what? He asked softly. Of losing control. Of hurting Ethan. Of everything changing. Tyler took my hand, his thumb tracing circles on my skin. Sometimes change is good. Sometimes it's what we need to feel alive again. I looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity there. He wasn't just a boy with a crush. He was someone who saw me, truly saw me, in a way no one had in years. That night, after Ethan was asleep, Tyler knocked on my bedroom door. I let him in, my heart racing. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. His lips found mine, and in that kiss, all the barriers crumbled. What followed was a whirlwind of passion and discovery. We were careful, always aware of Ethan, but in the stolen moments, we were free. Tyler made me feel desired, cherished, alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. But guilt was never far behind. Every touch, every kiss, came with a shadow of doubt. Was I betraying my son? Was I being selfish? Or was I finally allowing myself to live? One evening, as we lay together, Tyler traced patterns on my back. "What are we doing?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "We're living," he said simply. For the first time in a long time. I wanted to believe him. But the reality was more complicated. Ethan was growing suspicious, noticing the way Tyler looked at me, the way I smiled more. I knew this couldn't last forever. Something had to give. The breaking point came one night when Ethan walked in on us. Not in the act, but close enough. The look on his face, the betrayal, it shattered me. "Mom," he said, his voice breaking. Tyler and I pulled apart, the moment frozen in time. "Ethan, it's not what you think," I started, but the words felt hollow. He ran to his room, slamming the door. I followed, knocking, pleading, but he wouldn't open it. Tyler left that night quietly, without a word. I didn't stop him. The days that followed were painful. Ethan barely spoke to me, his anger and hurt palpable. I ended things with Tyler, knowing it was the only way to try and repair what was broken. But even as I tried to move forward, I couldn't forget the way Tyler made me feel. The way he saw me, not as a mother, not as a widow, but as a woman. Deserving of love, of passion, of life. In the end, I lost a friend for my son, but I gained something else. A reminder that life is too short to live in shadows. That sometimes, the most unexpected connections are the ones that wake us up. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe Ethan will forgive me. Maybe Tyler and I will find our way back to each other. Or maybe this was just a chapter, a lesson in courage and desire. But one thing I know for sure. That night, when I opened my son's door, I opened a door to myself. And no matter what comes next, I'll never forget how it felt to feel truly alive. His hand found mine tentative, like an unspoken question, and I let it stay there. The warmth of his skin against mine was a jolt, a reminder that this wasn't a dream, that the pull between us was real, tangible, undeniable. "I shouldn't," I murmured, knowing the truth of it. "It's wrong." "Maybe," he said softly, his eyes searching mine. "But some things aren't about right or wrong. They're about being honest with yourself, about feeling alive again." And in his gaze, I saw everything I had been missing. Acknowledgement, desire, understanding, permission. Days passed like this, a careful dance of proximity and restraint. We were always conscious of Ethan, of appearances, of the invisible line we couldn't cross. And yet every moment together pushed the boundaries further, slowly eroding the defenses I had built around myself. Even the simplest interactions became charged. A shared laugh over a spilled drink. A brush of hands as we passed by each other in the hallway. The brush of fingers while reaching for the same book. Each touch, each glance, an experiment in restraint. A test of willpower neither of us had entirely mastered. The tension was addictive, a current running beneath the surface of ordinary life, pulling me into a world I both feared and craved. One night, after Ethan had gone to bed early, the quiet of the house felt almost unbearable. Tyler lingered in the doorway of my room, casual, hesitant, uncertain. "I don't want to overstep," he said, voice low, carrying a weight I could feel in my chest. "You haven't. I whispered even as my heart raced in response to his proximity. We stood there, neither of us moving, the air thick with anticipation. Each second stretched, each heartbeat amplified until the silence became almost unbearable. And then, without a word, he leaned closer, a slow, deliberate motion, his eyes asking the question he hadn't dared to voice. Do you feel it, too? I didn't have to answer. My body, my pulse, my breath, all of it spoke louder than words ever could. Subscribe for more.